The sun was setting, bleeding red across the horizon like a slow wound. The sea breeze carried with it the scent of salt and diesel fumes from the nearby harbor. I stood on the cracked pavement outside the little bed and breakfast in Naples, Italy. A single suitcase by my side and my phone clutched tightly in my hand like it might still save me. But it wouldn't ring. Not anymore. The taxi that had dropped me off had long gone, and the receptionist had given me that look. The kind that people give to old women who've clearly been forgotten. Pity and awkwardness laced with helplessness. She'd spoken broken English. I didn't speak Italian. We both tried, but what could she do? My reservation was only for 3 days, and it had been 5. My name is Miriam Caldwell. I'm 71 years old, widowed, with 1 daughter, my only child Claire, and until that moment, I had spent most of my life believing that love, if nothing else, bound us together. I was wrong. Claire was always headstrong. Even as a little girl, she had a fire in her. She wasn't cruel, not then. She loved horses and scribbled poems in her notebook and cried when I read her Charlotte's Web. After her father died in a car crash when she was 12, something hardened in her. I tried my best. I worked 2 jobs, did the night shift at the hospital, made sure she got into college. But I wasn't enough, or maybe I was too much. Too involved, too worried, too present, I don't know. When Claire married Daniel 3 years ago, I saw it in his eyes. He was polite, sure, but distant. He didn't like how close Claire and I were. He once joked, "Your mom is practically your second husband," and laughed too loudly while Claire stayed quiet. Still, when they offered to take me with them on a once-in-a-lifetime European vacation, I was overjoyed. They said they wanted to give me something special after my health scare last year. A mild heart attack that landed me in the hospital for 3 days. I believed them. I packed my bags. I bought a new pair of walking shoes. I imagined standing in the Sistine Chapel with Claire beside me, our heads tilted up together in awe. We spent a week in Paris, 3 days in Florence. They seemed distant, but I chalked it up to stress. Then, one morning in Naples, they said they were going to pick up a rental car for a day trip. Claire kissed my cheek, said, "Be back soon, Mama." They never returned. At first I worried. Maybe they'd had an accident. Maybe they got lost. But then the B&B owner told me, through Google Translate, that they had checked out of their room that morning, luggage and all. I called and texted. No response. Finally, after 2 days of silence, I got a single message. "I'm sorry, Mom. You'll be okay. Please don't contact us." And that was it. I sat on the edge of the narrow bed that night, my heart pounding like it did the day my husband died. I kept thinking, why? Was it money? Did I say something wrong? Was I a burden? The days blurred. I had a little cash in my credit card, but not enough to buy a flight home. I didn't know anyone in Italy. I wandered the streets some days, watching couples hold hands, children eat gelato, street musicians played violins that sounded like crying, and I cried too, quietly, in corners, in church pews, in bathroom stalls. But something happened on the 10th day. A girl, maybe 17, saw me sitting on a bench outside a small grocery store, crying softly into my scarf. She approached and sat beside me without saying a word. After a while, she handed me a small, crumpled paper. On it was written, "Il dolore è il seme della forza." Pain is the seed of strength. Her name was Francesca. She didn't speak much English, but she brought me food, helped me find a small part-time job washing dishes at her uncle's restaurant in the mornings. It wasn't much, but it was something. She had a grandmother who had raised her after her mother ran off with a man to Argentina and never came back. Maybe she saw something of her in me. I worked there for almost 3 weeks. My hands ached, my back screamed, but I started to feel something I hadn't in years, purpose. One day, while sweeping the patio outside the restaurant, I overheard 2 American tourists laughing about the old lady story. Someone on TikTok had posted a video about a woman allegedly abandoned by her daughter in Italy. My blood turned to ice. They said the video was posted by Daniel, Claire's husband. He'd made it into a joke. I borrowed Francesca's phone and found the video. There I was, caught on grainy footage, dragging my suitcase down the cobblestone alley near the B&B, looking lost. The caption read, "When your wife's mom decides to be the third wheel on your honeymoon, fun mile from hell." It had over 1.2 million views. That's when the second crack happened, not in my heart, but in whatever illusion remained. I had been an inconvenience, an embarrassment, a story for clicks and laughs. But the thing about being broken is that you can choose how to put yourself back together. Francesca's uncle, Marco, had an old laptop he let me use. With Francesca's help, I created a blog, Nana on the Run. I started writing about betrayal, about aging, about strength and dignity, about losing everything and finding something unexpected in the ruins. My posts were raw, sometimes clumsy, but honest, and they resonated. By the end of the first week, I had 5,000 followers. By the end of the month, over 70,000. A journalist from Rome reached out for an interview. She called my story a modern odyssey. Donations started trickling in. A retired teacher from Maine sent me 100 with a note. "You remind me of my mother. She would have kicked your daughter's ass." With the money, I booked a flight back to the US, first class. At the airport, Francesca hugged me tightly and whispered in her soft English, "Go live now." I arrived in New York on a crisp October morning. The city air was sharp and alive. I didn't go back to my daughter. I didn't call. Instead, I checked into a small, artsy hotel in Brooklyn, where I met a woman named Grace in the lobby bar. She was 68, wore silver bangles, and told me she'd just divorced her husband of 40 years. We talked for 3 hours. She read my blog. She cried. She told me she'd forgotten who she was, too. Together we started something new, Second Wind, a podcast and community for women over 60 reclaiming their lives. We shared stories of abandonment, survival, reinvention. We laughed, we healed, we lived. 1 year later, I received a letter in the mail, no return address. Inside, a single page in Claire's handwriting. I don't know why I did it. I was scared. Of how much I needed you. Of how much he hated that. "I'm sorry, I left Daniel. I'm in therapy now. I hope one day you can forgive me. I read every word you wrote. You are braver than I ever was." I stared at the letter for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. Instead, I went to the window, looked out over the city, and smiled. Because in the end, life doesn't always give you the love you expect. But if you're brave enough, it gives you the love you deserve, starting with the one you give yourself. And sometimes, abandonment is just the beginning of being found.